Let's go ahead and move on to my review for Novocaine. So, I'm a big Jack Quaid fan. Okay, I've been talking about Jack Quaid for a long while now. These last couple years, the boy's just talented, chat. You know, he's got a little bit of that Dennis Quaid crazy. He's got that Meg Ryan class, and they combined. They made love, chat, and then 9 months later, we got Jack Quaid. And I think the kid's been doing a great job these last few years. I mean, I think a lot of people probably best know him for The Boys, playing the character of Huey in that. Very, very fun in that. And also in those dramatic elements is a great job. But then even, his other works. More recently, one of my favorite animated shows these last couple of years, My Adventures of Superman, was such a wonderful palate cleanser after the dark times, the evil times of the DCEU, where we had a murderous, psychotic Superman who never fucking smiled or hugged anybody. It's like in this show, we have a wonderful Superman who was actually kind and gave people hugs. And that was really nice. Told you it was going to be okay. And that Superman, that Kal-El, that Clark Kent was voiced by Jack Quaid. He brought that earnestness back to the character through his performance. Of course, along with those talented writers and directors, obviously. But his performance was wonderful. And even his recent stuff really just started to show his range, especially when it came to playing villainous characters, diabolical characters, and things like Scream, Scream 5, and more recently, again, my favorite movie so far of 2025, in Companion. I thought he was great as the male lead. He had excellent chemistry, anti-chemistry, if you will, with Sophie Thatcher in this movie. Or in Companion, I should say. But what about Novocaine? So Novocaine is directed by these filmmakers I don't think a lot of people know about. Dan Burke and Robert Olson. When I saw their names pop up when I watched this film last night, I was like, I don't know who these guys are. But turns out I actually saw their theatrical film debut nearly a decade ago, I want to say. Their previous film that I saw as a directing duo was a movie called The Body, which is actually a really cool bottle thriller. It stars Larry Fessenden, kind of the king of indie horror films. You may not know the name, but you've definitely seen the guy. He played the crazy hunter in Until Dawn. Also co-wrote that the game. But anyway, that film was about these three girls, high school girls that break into this house, and they accidentally end up doing something horrible to the caretaker of the home, and they're trying to figure out a way out of this scenario where they don't all go to fucking jail. It's actually a really good movie, and I hadn't seen any of their other films. I think they made 2 or 3 others over the years. I haven't checked this out, but this is their most recent movie. But I was like, oh, wow, okay, so they clearly are talented guys. They're good with using limited things, and I think that's fully showcased with Novocaine. And again, for people that don't know, as I said, the film stars Jack Quaid, also co-stars Amber Midthunder, coming hot off of Prey, fighting that Predator. Got the son of Jack Nicholson in here, Ray Nicholson. He's just as crazy as his dad, got that big smile. That's in full display in this movie. Got fucking Spider-Man's best friend, Jacob Batalon, pretty much playing Spider-Man's best friend again. That's kind of his mode for right now, but it works. It works. And the plot primarily follows Nathan Kane, played by Quaid, who is this bank employee who has grown up and has had this condition, this genetic condition where he has the inability to feel pain. He feels no pain, who then goes on to rescue his co-worker, played by Midthunder, after she's taken hostage by a group of bank robbers, and chaos ensues. And if you've seen the trailers, you see that since he feels no pain, when these thugs, these bank robbers, whoever else he goes up against in the film, when they start stabbing him and slicing him and, pulling his fingernails out of his body and stuff like that, he feels nothing. But that's an advantage because he can shrug all this shit off and he can fight back despite not being, a fighter himself, right? I mean, he's not John Wick or anything like that, but because of this ability or inability, however you want to define it, that does give him a distinct advantage. And it leads to some really fun fight sequences throughout the film and a lot of body horror. First of all, this film is on Jack Quaid's shoulders, his slim shoulders, and I think he delivers. He is this awkward guy with this very strange condition that they, showcase at first as being kind of sad. because like, oh, it's kind of badass that you can't feel pain. And that's certainly on display. But in the first like 20 or so minutes of the movie, 25 minutes of the movie, before we get to like all the action, you kind of see what his life is like, not being able to feel anything. And they get into like interesting specifics with it. Like in some cases, like he can't really eat like normal food because if he chews something, he won't be able to feel. For example, like if he chews his tongue, if he bites his tongue off, he would be completely unaware of it, right? And so he has to have like an all liquid diet. Or for instance, he has to he has to use his watch and set like multiple timers for himself, like every few hours, like when it comes to going to the bathroom. Because he can't actually tell within his own body if his bladder is full. His bladder might fucking explode and he wouldn't even know until much, much, much later on. So he has to set that. And so they kind of get into the specifics of his condition and how he's just been able to live with it. And they even established in the film, it's the people that have this condition, they don't live very long because they're not privy to the dangers around them. And they just don't know what's going on in their body because they can't feel it. And I actually thought that was really nice that they established that. So you can kind of see where, yes, it is a benefit in terms of fighting bad guys, but it also is a bit of a negative when it comes to him just living his ordinary life. And that's also just kind of made him lonely. Very, very lonely, like having very few friends and being very sheltered and wanting like to have a connection, an emotional connection, a physical connection, which is very difficult for him, obviously, and he sees like he can maybe obtain that with the character played by Amber Midthunder, and I'll get into more about their relationship in just a bit, but they have like a really nice, cute chemistry, and they have several cute scenes together before, we get to the action, the stabbing, and the gutting, and the bleeding. But in terms of the action scenes with Jack Quaid, is he able to sell those scenes? Like, yes, he's fully capable. I mean, I think we've seen that in previous stuff that he's done, whether it be in the Boys or most recently in something like Companion or even Scream. Like he sells that, and he does just enough where, again, it doesn't have like the crazy action choreography where he takes a fucking gun. Like he struggles. Like, I don't know how to fire a gun. How do I do this? But he uses his inability in unique ways for some of these action scenes. And it's all like, they don't like, there's not a lot of quick cuts or anything like that. They're not trying to hide him or anything, which I thought was like very, very good. The camera is very steady. You got a lot of like mid shots. You kind of see the entire scenes. And I thought that was very smart. And it's like, it looks really good throughout the entire film. And at the same time, it's of course, complementing the action, but there's a lot of body horror in this, and the body horror is done, very well. It doesn't devolve into a lot of CGI slopper. There's a little bit of CGI in this movie, but for the most part, they want to show off these practical effects, okay? They want to show off what happens to a hand when it's been just, submerged in like cooking oil for a hot minute. Like what happens to the hand like over time? Like they show all of that. And again, people are getting stabbed and shot. Their eyes are being gouged out with broken glass, having bones and limbs, snap back and into different directions, looking just like a bunch of pretzel people in this movie. And all of that is showcased really, really well. It's some gross. If you have an issue with like eye violence or nail violence, hand violence, like bones popping out of people's, arms or wrists or anything like that, then go in knowing it has that. You might be a little squeamish. Like this movie is not for the squeamish. They indulge in all that stuff, but to me, it all looks really, really good. And when it comes to the rest of the cast, like Amber Midthunder, who I guess previously, the last thing I saw her in, I believe, was Prey. She was the main lead in that movie. I thought she did a great job. She fought that predator real well. Here, there's some interesting things that happen, like, with her character throughout the film. And she's essentially like the love interest, the quote-unquote damsel of distress in this movie. And I liked her chemistry with Jack Quaid. I wish there was a little bit more for her to do in the movie, because I would say after the first 20 minutes and then like towards the end of the film, she gets some more stuff to do. But there's like a big period where she kind of gets nothing to do. And I would have liked to see more of her, because I know what she's capable of. I know that she can lead a film. She can have it. also lean on her. She can carry it on her shoulders, just based on what I saw in Prey. Even when the fucking Predator wasn't on screen, she was quite good. I would have liked to see her do more, but I liked her chemistry of Jack Quaid. They make a really cute couple in this, and they have kind of like shared trauma, right, that brings them closer together in the beginning of the film. Ray Nicholson, he is at 11 throughout this movie. He might as well be a fucking Looney Tune. He could have been hanging out with Daffy Duck and Porky Pig and The Day the Earth Blew Up. You'd be like, you wouldn't have batted an eye. I'd be like, yeah, that seems about right. He's like, listen, I'm a villain. I'm a bank robber. I like killing people, okay? I like to chew on the scenery of my big, wide smile, and he definitely inherited his dad's smile. Holy shit. It's on full display in this movie, and I liked him. I've seen him pop up. He also coming off a Smile, too. He had a small role in Smile, too, and I liked a little bit of him in that, but I want to see him even more, but he's fun in this movie for what he's given. And Jacob Batalon, listen, I like Jacob Batalon, but he's the guy in the chair for the first half of this film, and then he's Ned. He's Ned Leeds from Spider-Man, except, he traded, Tom Holland's Spider-Man for literally, they even joke about Jack Quaid having the nickname, the hero name of Novocaine. He just traded a Tom Holland for a Jack Quaid. And he does it well, but he's not doing anything different than what you've seen before. However, it works for the movie itself. He has chemistry of Jack Quaid. He gets involved with some of the action throughout this movie, and they bounce off each other really well in regards to Quaid. Now, in terms of stuff that I just didn't really like about this movie, you do have some cop characters in this film, and the cops, they're just fucking stupid. All right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They're stupid, and they do things that just wouldn't happen in real life, what cops would do. And it's like, all right, you maybe think that sounds kind of harsh. Listen, there's a lot of great action films where the cops don't act the way cops should, following procedures and things like that. But, there are scenes where a cop's like, hey, before you go, take my gun, even though I've been hunting you throughout the entire film, thinking that you're like a very dangerous criminal. It's like stuff like that. And you kind of got, you kind of just go with it. It's like, all right, well, we're almost at the end of the movie where you got 10 minutes left at that. So just go ahead. All right, just do it. Fine. But they had these two detective characters, and they, basically partners, and they were kind of like bouncing off each other, like with the humor. The humor with them just really didn't work for me at all. I was just like, okay. And they established something with the female detective where she has a kid, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna use this now in the plot, and they do, and I don't know. That's the part where it just didn't really work for me. It just felt very trite. It was very tropish. Or some of the other tropes in this movie were fine because they were at least doing their own little spin on it. It was a little more fun, or at least it was effective. This is the stuff that just kind of felt tired, and I honestly just didn't want it. It felt unnecessary. And I guess the last thing I would say, and I kind of hinted at it before, but I actually wanted more time with Quaid and Mint Thunder 2. They are cute together. I like their scenes in the first 20 or so minutes. But I just needed a few more scenes. I needed a little more. A showcase of time with each other that is passed on, because they go out on like she asks him out on a date after she accidentally does something to him, and she feels kind of bad. Initially they get lunch, and then they go out later that evening, and then they go back, to his place, and stupping happens. And then it's the next day, bank robbing, and then she gets kidnapped, right? And I was like, it happened a little fast. I would have liked them to have been with each other a little bit more. Again, to have it make a little more sense as to why he would then go, fuck it, I'm gonna throw my whole life away to save this woman. And again, she's hot. She's very, very sexy. There's no question about that. So you can say well, Chris, wouldn't you throw your fucking life away? Your profession, everything, put everything on the line, on the fucking table, so you can save Amber Midthunder's fine ass. And but I would have liked, in the context of the story itself, if more time had transpired, if they had been boyfriend and girlfriend for a while, a couple of weeks even a couple of weeks, I think would have been good, instead of basically a day and a half. I would have liked that a little bit more. However, those are really the only two complaints I have. All in all, it's a fun little action movie with an interesting concept that leads to some gory and nasty fight scenes. and a lot of body horror, and continues to prove that Jack Quaid is a rising talent in this industry. I like this kid. I think he's got it. I like that he's been experimenting with different genres and different types of characters. He's been really fun these last few years. But yeah, overall, chat, despite some criticisms, overall, I think Novocaine's a really fun action film. Certainly the best straight action film that I've seen this year. But what about you guys? How many of you saw Novocaine? Did you like it as much as I did? Were you more mixed on it? You're like, I don't know. Or did you just downright hate it? You not like anything about it? Would you not have saved Amber Midthunder? Let me know.
5 minutes later.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Jacob Battle, he's the CEO of sex. Apparently they're embracing that. Good. Well, you know what? Good for him. Good for him. This is funny. So this is from the, here, I'll share this with you guys. Right, this right here, the CEO of sex. Jacob Battle reacts to the internet calling him the CEO of sex. First of all, it's an honor. I feel like people come to me for sex advice all the time. It kind of seems like it was all an ironic thing, but also I'm not going to turn it down. Good for him. Good for him, chat. He's got some, he's got it. He's just got that charisma. He's got the, what he has? Confidence. He even talks about it in the film. It's funny enough because their relationship, Jacob Batalon and Jack Quaid's relationship, they have never met each other before a certain scene in the movie, but they've known each other for, I guess, however many years, but they only know each other across the internet because they play video games with one another, and that's he's very much the guy in the chair for a good portion of the film. And he's giving Jack Quaid all this advice on how to talk to women. He's like, listen, man, a lot of it just comes down to charisma. A lot of it comes down to confidence, and just women just like a really confident man. And that's true. That is very true. So he's not wrong. So he is technically giving good advice. So I can understand why he has been dubbed the CEO of sex. Oh, man.